Blood appeared on the toddler's scalp as Miranda's manicured fingers ripped through his curly hair, dragging him across the marble floor like garbage. "Stop! Please, stop pulling him!" 8-year-old Lily lunged at her stepmother's arm, her thin body shaking with terror. "Move, you little pest!" Miranda snarled, yanking harder. The front door slammed. Marcus Whitfield, billionaire investment mogul, stood frozen, watching his wife drag his screaming black son by the hair. What he discovered next would expose 18 months of hidden torture, a predator's calculated mask, and secrets dark enough to destroy everything. But first, he had to survive the truth. Comment your city below. Let's see how far this story travels. The sound hit Marcus Whitfield before his eyes could process what they were seeing. Something primal, something deeply, terribly wrong. His 2-year-old son's shrieking, mixed with his daughter's desperate pleading, echoing off the marble walls of the mansion he'd built, with 15 years of relentless work. Marcus had come home early from Tokyo. Cut short a $300 million merger because something had nagged at him during the entire 14-hour flight. Some instinct he couldn't name. Some whisper maybe from Rebecca, his first wife gone now, 2 years from cancer. Now he understood. His briefcase slipped from numb fingers and crashed to the floor. Miranda's hand was twisted in little Jalen's hair, his beautiful black son, with Rebecca's kind eyes dragging him across the cold marble like he was nothing, like he was trash. The toddler's tiny legs kicked helplessly. One small shoe flew off, spinning across the floor. Blood glistened on his scalp where hair had torn away. "Stop!" Lily screamed again, grabbing Miranda's sleeve with both hands. "You're hurting him. Please." Miranda's head snapped toward the doorway. For one frozen second, their eyes met. Then her hand released Jalen's hair. The toddler crumpled to the floor, his cries becoming hiccuping sobs that shook his entire small body. Lily scrambled to her brother immediately. She gathered him against her thin chest. Far too thin. Marcus noticed suddenly rocking him with movements that looked practiced, automatic, like she'd done this 1,000 times before. "Marcus, darling." Miranda's voice transformed instantly. Warm, sweet, concerned. "You're home early, I was just—" "Don't." The single word stopped her cold. Marcus walked forward slowly. His legs felt like they belonged to someone else. His heart hammered so hard he could hear it in his ears. He knelt beside his children, reached out to touch Lily's shoulder. She flinched. His 8-year-old daughter flinched away from him like he was going to hurt her, and that small movement shattered something inside Marcus's chest that would never fully heal. "Sweetheart," he said softly, forcing his voice to stay gentle despite the rage building inside him. "Let me see Jalen." Lily's eyes darted to Miranda, then back to Marcus. Terror lived in those eyes. Terror and something worse. A desperate, silent plea. "He's fine, Daddy. He was being naughty. Miranda was just—" "Lily." Marcus kept his voice calm. "Let me see your brother." She released Jalen reluctantly, her thin arms trembling. Marcus gathered his son and felt his stomach drop. The boy weighed nothing. A 2-year-old shouldn't feel like holding air. Jalen's crying intensified as Marcus examined his head. The baby screamed in pain when Marcus's fingers got near the wound, a raw, bloody patch where hair had been torn out by the roots. "He's being dramatic," Miranda said quickly, her heels clicking as she moved closer. "Really, Marcus, toddlers are so theatrical." He had a tantrum, threw toys at Lily, wouldn't listen to anything. "You know how the terrible twos can be. Sometimes you have to be firm." There's blood on his head. He scratched himself during the tantrum. You know how he gets with those little fingernails? "Miranda." Marcus looked up at his wife. "Stop talking." Something flickered across her face. Something ugly and cold that disappeared so fast, Marcus almost missed it. Almost. "I'm just trying to explain—" I said stop. He turned back to his children, really looked at them for the first time in months. What he saw made his blood turn to ice. Lily was skeletal, her arms like bird bones visible through pale skin. Her school uniform hung loose on her frame like she was wearing someone else's clothes. Dark circles shadowed her eyes that wouldn't meet his. Bruises peeked out from under her sleeves. Fading yellow marks shaped like fingers. "Lily," Marcus said carefully, "take your brother upstairs. Go to your room. Twos. Lock the door. Don't come out until I come get you." "But Daddy?" "Now, sweetheart, please." Lily grabbed Jalen and fled. Her footsteps were rapid on the stairs, the sound of escape. Marcus waited until a door slammed above. Then he stood and faced his wife. "What the hell did I just see?" Miranda's expression shifted through several emotions: concern, wounded innocence, righteous indignation, before settling on something that looked almost like defiance. "You saw a stepmother at her breaking point," she said coolly. "You saw me trying to manage two difficult children who refuse to accept me while you're never here. You're always traveling. Tokyo, Singapore, London, Dubai. You're never home, Marcus. Do you have any idea what I deal with every single day? I saw you dragging my 2-year-old son by his hair. I was separating him from Lily. He bit her. He's been aggressive lately. There's blood on his scalp, Miranda. I saw hair come out. You're exaggerating. You're exhausted from traveling. You're seeing things that aren't. Where's Dorothy?" The question stopped Miranda mid-sentence. Dorothy Thompson had been their housekeeper for 6 years. She'd helped Rebecca through her cancer treatment, held Marcus when he'd broken down after the funeral, and loved the children like they were her own grandchildren. "I had to let her go," Miranda said. "Why? She was stealing. Dorothy was stealing. Small things. Jewelry, cash. I documented everything before I dismissed her." Marcus stared at his wife. This woman he'd married 18 months after Rebecca's death. She'd seemed perfect during their courtship. So loving with his children, so patient, so kind. He remembered Lily's words at the wedding. "She's really nice, Daddy. I think Mommy would like her." Had he imagined that had Lily been told what to say even then? "I want to see the children alone," Marcus said. "Of course, darling." Miranda's smile returned sweet as poison. "But you're exhausted. Let me make coffee. We can talk calmly about. I'm going upstairs now. Don't follow me." "Marcus, really? You're overreacting. Every parent loses their temper sometimes. Rebecca certainly did when. Don't." The word came out like a gunshot. "Don't you ever speak my wife's name again." Miranda's eyes went cold, just for a second. Then the mask slid back into place. "I'm simply saying you're holding me to impossible standards. I love those children, Marcus. I've sacrificed everything for them. Everything. And this is the thanks I get. One moment of frustration, and suddenly I'm some kind of monster." Marcus didn't respond. He just walked past her toward the stairs. As he climbed, her voice followed him. Sweet, false, threatening. "We'll talk about this later, darling. When you've had time to think clearly. I'm sure you'll realize how unfair you're being." Marcus knocked softly on Lily's door. "Sweetheart, it's Daddy. Can I come in?" Silence. Then a small, frightened voice. "Is she with you?" "No, baby. It's just me. I promise." The lock clicked. The door opened a crack. Lily's face appeared pale, thin, terrified. "Are you alone?" "I'm alone, Lily. I promise." She let him in. The room was pristine, too pristine. No toys scattered on the floor, no drawings taped to the walls, no stuffed animals in the corners. Nothing suggesting a child actually lived here. Lily sat on her bed with Jalen in her lap, both pressed against the headboard like cornered animals. The toddler's face was splotchy and tear-stained. Blood still matted his curly hair. Marcus sat on the edge of the bed, keeping his distance, not wanting to scare them more than they already were. "Lily," he said gently, "I need you to tell me the truth. Has Miranda been hurting you and Jalen?" Lily's eyes went wide with panic. "No, Daddy. No, she's nice. She takes care of us. Please don't be angry at her. Please. I'm sorry if I made you think. Lily, stop. Marcus waited until she looked at him. I'm not angry at you. I could never be angry at you. But I need to know what's been happening in this house, and I need you to tell me the truth no matter how scary that feels. Lily's lip trembled. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I can't, she whispered. I can't tell you. Why not, sweetheart? Because she said... Lily's voice cracked. She said if I told you anything bad, she'd send Jalen away forever. To a place where babies cry all night and nobody comes. She said it would be my fault. My fault if Jalen went there. White-hot rage ignited inside Marcus. He wanted to go back downstairs. He wanted to wrap his hands around Miranda's throat and squeeze until she felt 1 ounce of the terror his children had been living with. But he forced himself to stay calm. His children needed calm. Lily, listen to me very carefully. That is never going to happen. Never. Jalen is staying with you. With me. Miranda can't send him anywhere. She has no power over him. She has no power over you. Not anymore. But you're always gone, Lily said, and the truth stabbed through him like a knife. You're always traveling, and she's here. And when you leave Daddy, she changes. She becomes someone scary, someone mean. I'm not leaving again. I promise. I'm staying right here. Lily looked at him with desperate hope and crippling doubt. She'd been let down before. She expected to be let down again. Marcus felt tears slide down his own face. Tell me everything, he said. Start from the beginning. Whatever happened, however bad it is, I need to know. And I swear on your mother's memory, I swear on everything I love, I will protect you. Lily looked at Jalen, stroked his curly hair around the bald, bloody patch. Then she started talking. It started a few months after the wedding. Lily's voice was quiet, flat, like she was reciting something from far away. At first she was nice, distant but nice. She'd smile at us when you were around, pat our heads, say sweet things. She paused, picking at a thread on her comforter. But when you left for your first big trip Tokyo, I think she changed, like a switch flipping. The second your car drove away, her face just dropped. All the nice went away. What do you mean, dropped? Like she wasn't pretending anymore. She looked at me and said, your father's gone, so let's get a few things straight. Marcus's hands clenched. She said I wasn't her real child, and she wasn't going to waste her energy pretending I mattered. She said Jalen was even less than nothing because... Lily hesitated. Because of his skin. Marcus felt sick. Jalen was his son with Rebecca, a beautiful black woman he'd loved more than his own life. Their son had her warm brown skin, her kind eyes, her gentle spirit. What exactly did she say about Jalen? Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. She said he didn't belong in this family. She said you only kept him because of guilt. She said no one would miss him if he was gone. Marcus closed his eyes. His body shook with the effort of containing his rage. What else, sweetheart? What else did she do? The story tumbled out. Miranda sending Lily to bed without dinner for minor infractions, asking for a snack, getting less than perfect grades, looking at her the wrong way. Miranda criticizing everything how Lily walked, talked, ate, breathed. Miranda making her stand in the corner for hours at a time. Miranda locking her in the closet when she cried. She fired Dorothy because Dorothy saw her grab my arm, Lily said, rolling up her sleeve. Fading bruises, yellow and green, finger-shaped. Dorothy tried to say something to you on a video call, remember? Miranda said she had to go to the store suddenly. But really, she was taking Dorothy outside to scream at her. She told Dorothy if she ever said anything to anyone, she'd call immigration and say Dorothy was illegal. Dorothy's been a citizen for 20 years, but she was so scared. Dorothy left crying, Lily continued. She hugged me before she went, told me she was sorry, said she'd pray for us. And the new housekeeper, Patricia. She's Miranda's friend. She's almost as mean. She watches us when Miranda's not around, reports everything we do. What about food, Lily? You're so thin. Miranda changed the cook. Now there's only fancy food, spicy stuff, things we can't eat. When I asked for plain pasta, she laughed, said spoiled children eat what they're given or go hungry. Lily looked down at her hands. I go hungry a lot, Daddy. I try to hide food in my room, crackers, bread, anything, but she always finds it. Throws it away while I watch. She calls me a sneaky rat. Marcus thought about all the five-star hotels he'd stayed in. The room service available 24 hours. The business dinners with unlimited food and wine, while his children starved. And Jalen. His bottles are watered down. I've seen Patricia mixing them. Half formula, half water. He's always hungry, always crying. And when he cries, Lily's voice cracked. Miranda gets so angry. She yells at him, shakes him, drags him by his hair. She puts him in his crib and locks the door even when he screams. Once he cried for 2 hours straight and I couldn't get in. I sat outside the door listening to my baby brother cry and I couldn't do anything. Her face crumbled. I tried so hard to protect him, Daddy. I tried so hard. But I'm only 8 and she's so much bigger and stronger and... Come here. Marcus pulled both children into his arms, held them tight, let Lily cry against his chest while Jalen whimpered between them. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry I wasn't here. I'm so sorry I didn't see. I'm so sorry I left you alone with her. You didn't know, Lily said, somehow comforting him when he should have been comforting her. She's really good at pretending, Daddy. She practices in the mirror. I've seen her. They sat together until both children calmed down. Marcus's mind raced. Evidence. He needed evidence. Medical documentation. Witnesses. Something concrete that Miranda couldn't talk her way out of. Lily, I'm going to call a doctor. Both of you need to be examined. Everything needs to be documented. Do you understand? Lily nodded. After that, we're leaving this house. Tonight. We're going somewhere safe where Miranda can't get to us. Really? Hope flickered in Lily's eyes. We're really leaving. Really, I promise. But what if she follows us? She won't. I won't let her. But what if... Lily. Marcus held her face in his hands. Look at me. I know I haven't been here. I know I let you down. I know you have every reason not to trust me right now. But I am telling you, I swear on your mother's grave, I will protect you and your brother with my life. Miranda will never hurt you again. Do you believe me? Lily studied his face for a long moment. I want to believe you, Daddy. Then let me prove it to you, starting right now. Marcus pulled out his phone and dialed Dr. Rachel Foster, their family pediatrician since Lily was born. Rachel. It's Marcus Whitfield. I need you to open your office. Tonight. Yes, I know what time it is. It's an emergency. My children. There's been abuse. I need everything documented. Everything photographed. Blood work. The whole workup. He paused, listening. I'll explain when we get there. 40 minutes. He hung up and looked at his children. Pack a bag. Just the important things. We're leaving in 10 minutes. Getting out of the house was easier than Marcus expected. Miranda was waiting at the bottom of the stairs, her face arranged in wounded innocence. Marcus, darling, where are you going? It's almost 8 o'clock. The children should be in bed. We're leaving. What? You can't just... The children need medical attention. Medical attention? For what? Marcus, this is ridiculous. You're being completely irrational. Move aside, Miranda. No. Her voice hardened. You're not taking those children anywhere. We're going to sit down and discuss this like adults. You're clearly exhausted from traveling. You're not thinking clearly. Marcus shifted Jalen to his other hip and took Lily's hand. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in 2 years. Now move. Or what? Miranda's mask slipped further. You'll call the police. Tell them what? that your wife disciplined a toddler who was having a tantrum. Do you know how that will sound? Do you know what people will think about a man who abandons his family to travel the world and then accuses his devoted wife of abuse? I don't care what people think. You should. Your reputation, your business, everything you've built. I could destroy all of it with one phone call to the right reporter. Marcus stepped closer to her. Let me be very clear, he said quietly. I don't care about my reputation. I don't care about my business. I don't care about anything except getting my children away from you. If you try to stop me, if you try to follow us, if you come anywhere near them again, I will use every dollar I have to ensure you spend the rest of your life in prison. Do you understand? Miranda's eyes went cold. The mask dropped completely now. You'll regret this, Marcus. I promise you'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not seeing what you really are 18 months ago. He pushed past her and walked out the front door. The night air hit his face cool and clean, and Marcus realized he'd been holding his breath. He loaded the children into his car, buckled them in carefully, looked back at the mansion one more time. Miranda stood in the doorway, a dark silhouette against the light, watching them go. Dr. Rachel Foster was waiting when they arrived at her office. She took one look at the children, and her professional composure cracked. Oh, Marcus. Oh, God. I need everything documented, Rachel. Everything. Photos, measurements, blood work. I need a paper trail so clear that she can never talk her way out of this. Tell me what happened. So Marcus told her. Everything Lily had told him. Everything he'd witnessed. Rachel listened without interrupting, her face growing grimmer with each detail. When he finished, she simply nodded and turned to the children. Lily, Jalen, I'm going to examine you both very carefully so I can help you feel better and make sure you're safe. Nothing I do will hurt. I promise. The examination took 90 minutes. Rachel documented every bruise, photographed every mark weighed, and measured both children with meticulous care. Her jaw tightened as she recorded the numbers. Marcus, she said, quietly pulling him aside while her nurse distracted the children with stickers. Jalen is in the 5th percentile for weight. He should be in the 50th based on his growth trajectory. He's severely malnourished and anemic. She showed him Lily's chart. Lily has lost 16 pounds in 10 months. Her ribs are visible. She's showing signs of chronic malnutrition. She met his eyes. These bruises are in various stages of healing. This indicates repeated trauma over many weeks, possibly months. This isn't discipline, Marcus. This is systematic abuse. I know. I'm required by law to report this to Child Protective Services. I have no choice. I want you to. Report everything. File every form. I want this documented so thoroughly that no lawyer on earth can make it go away. Rachel gripped his shoulder. The children will recover physically with proper nutrition and care. But emotionally, they need therapy, starting immediately. This kind of trauma doesn't just disappear. I know. Marcus looked at his children, his thin, traumatized, beautiful children, and felt his heart crack open. I know. They checked into a hotel at midnight. Marcus couldn't face going back to that house, couldn't let his children sleep under the same roof as their abuser. He got a 2-bedroom suite with a door that locked, extra security from the front desk. As he tucked Lily and Jalen into bed together, Lily curling protectively around her baby brother like always, Marcus sat beside them and stroked Lily's hair. You're safe now, he said softly. I promise. You're safe. Lily's eyes were already closing, exhaustion claiming her. Daddy. Yes, sweetheart. I was so scared to tell you. I thought you wouldn't believe me. Miranda always said you loved her more than us. She said you'd take her side. Marcus felt tears slide down his face. I will always believe you, Lily. Always. And I will always be on your side. Lily was quiet for a moment. Daddy? Yes. I think Mommy sent you home early. I think she's still watching over us. Marcus closed his eyes. I think so too, sweetheart. I think so too. After the children fell asleep, Marcus sat in the living room of the hotel suite and started making phone calls. First, his attorney, Richard Sterling. He woke him despite the late hour. Richard, it's Marcus. I need emergency legal action, divorce proceedings, restraining order, emergency custody hearing, and I want criminal charges filed against my wife for child abuse. He listened to Richard's questions and answered them all. I have medical documentation. I have the children's testimony. I have photographs of bruises. But I need more. I need witnesses. I need to establish a pattern. Dorothy Thompson, Richard said immediately. Your former housekeeper. If she witnessed abuse, she might be willing to testify. Can you find her? I'll have my investigator on it first thing in the morning. Marcus hung up and stared at his phone. It was 2 a.m. His phone had 37 missed calls from Miranda, 22 voicemails. He played them back, listening to her voice transform from sweet concern to barely controlled rage. Marcus, darling, where are you? The children need their proper beds. Then, this is parental alienation. I won't stand for it. Then, answer your phone. We need to discuss this rationally. Then, at 1 a.m., the mask fully off. You're going to regret this, Marcus. I promise. I know things about you, about your business, things that could destroy everything you've built. Call me back. Now. Marcus saved every message. Evidence. He spent the rest of the night writing everything down. Everything Lily had told him. Everything he'd witnessed. Dates when he'd traveled. Dates when things might have happened. Creating a timeline of abuse. It made him physically sick to document. But he kept writing, because his children deserved justice. And Miranda deserved to pay for every moment of suffering she'd caused. Dawn came gray and cold. Marcus hadn't slept at all. Jalen woke first crying for food, and Marcus prepared a proper bottle, the correct formula ratio, and watched his son drink with desperate hunger. The baby's eyes closed in relief as he fed. 2 years old and already knew what it felt like to starve. Marcus held him close and made silent promises to Rebecca. I'll protect them. I swear. I'll protect our children with everything I have. I'll make this right. Whatever it takes. Lily woke an hour later and ate breakfast with quiet intensity. 3 pieces of toast, 2 yogurts, a banana, 2 glasses of orange juice. She ate like someone who expected food to disappear. Marcus watched her and felt his resolve harden into something unbreakable. Miranda had hurt his children, starved them, terrorized them, made them afraid in their own home. And now she was going to face consequences. No matter what it cost, no matter how long it took, no matter what she threatened. Marcus Whitfield had built an empire from nothing, and he would tear it all down himself before he let that woman hurt his children ever again. Richard Sterling called at 8 in the morning with news that made Marcus grip his phone tighter. We found Dorothy Thompson. She's living with her daughter in Queens. And Marcus... Richard paused. She's been waiting for this call. She kept records, detailed records, everything she witnessed before Miranda fired her. Can I talk to her? I'm sending her number now. But Marcus, there's more. My investigator dug into Miranda's background last night. She was married before. To a widower named Thomas Hartley. 2 young children. Marcus felt his stomach drop. What happened? The marriage lasted 14 months. Ended with a confidential settlement. Thomas paid her $100,000 to walk away quietly. Signed a non-disclosure agreement. Why would he pay her to leave? That's what we need to find out. I'm arranging a meeting with him today. He's hesitant, but I think he'll talk. Marcus hung up and immediately dialed Dorothy's number. She answered on the first ring. Mr. Whitfield. Her voice was thick with emotion. Oh, Mr. Whitfield. I've been praying for this call. Every single night I've been praying. Dorothy, I'm so sorry. I should have listened. I should have seen what was happening. You couldn't have known. She's a devil in angel's clothing, that woman. The way she could switch one face for you, another face the second you left. I've never seen anything like it. I need you to tell me everything, Dorothy. Everything you saw. Where do you want me to start? The beginning. The first time you knew something was wrong. Dorothy took a deep breath. It was about 3 months after the wedding. You'd left for Singapore, I think. A 2-week trip. The second your car pulled out of the driveway, it was like watching a mask fall off someone's face. What did she do? She walked into the kitchen where Lily was eating breakfast. That sweet girl was just sitting there with her cereal, and Miranda walked up and slapped it right off the table. Bowl shattered on the floor, milk everywhere. Lily just sat there, too shocked to move. Marcus closed his eyes. Miranda leaned down and said, "I'll never forget her exact words. Your father's not here to protect you anymore, so we're going to have some new rules." What were the rules? No eating between meals, no asking for food, no complaining, no crying, no talking to me about anything that happened in the house. If Lily broke any rule, she'd be punished. What kind of punishment? Dorothy's voice cracked. The closet mostly, dark and small, hours at a time. I'd hear that poor baby crying and begging to be let out, promising to be good, saying sorry over and over, and Miranda would just sit in the living room watching television like nothing was happening. Why didn't you call the police? I tried Mr. Whitfield. I tried so many times. But Miranda caught me once looking at my phone after she'd hit Lily. She took me outside and told me exactly what would happen if I said anything to anyone. What did she say? She said she'd already planted evidence in my room, jewelry, cash. She said she'd tell you I was stealing. She said she knew people who could make trouble for my daughter. My Angela works at a hospital. She needs her license clean. Miranda said she could make one phone call and Angela's career would be over. Dorothy was crying now. I have grandchildren, Mr. Whitfield. I was so scared. So I kept my mouth shut. But I wrote everything down, every date, every incident. I took pictures when I could, the bruises, the empty refrigerator, the watered-down bottles. I saved it all, hoping someday someone would finally see the truth. You have all of this documented. Every single thing. Dates, times, what I witnessed, photos on my phone that I backed up to my daughter's computer. I have 18 months of evidence, Mr. Whitfield. Will you testify in court? Yes. Dorothy's voice steadied. I'll testify. I'll show every judge and jury exactly what that monster did to those babies. I should have done more. I should have been braver. But I can be brave now. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just keep those children safe. That's all I want. That's all I've ever wanted. Marcus ended the call and sat very still for a long moment. 18 months. His children had suffered for 18 months while he'd been building his empire, signing contracts, shaking hands with investors, sleeping in luxury hotels. He'd failed them in the most fundamental way a father could fail. But he wouldn't fail them again. The meeting with Thomas Hartley was scheduled for 2 o'clock at a coffee shop in Manhattan. Marcus arrived early, leaving the children with a security team he'd hired that morning, 2 former Marines who stood guard outside the hotel suite. Thomas Hartley walked in at exactly 2. He was a small man, maybe 55, with graying hair and deep lines around his eyes. He looked older than his years, worn down by something heavy. He spotted Marcus and hesitated before walking over. Mr. Whitfield. Mr. Hartley, thank you for meeting me. Thomas sat down slowly like his bones ached. Your lawyer said you married Miranda. 18 months ago. And now you're divorcing her. Yes. Thomas was quiet for a long moment, staring at his untouched coffee. How bad? He finally asked. She's been abusing my children, starving them, beating them. My son is 2 years old. She's been dragging him by his hair. Thomas closed his eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have warned people. I should have done something. But I was scared and tired, and I just wanted her gone. Tell me what happened with your family. Thomas took a shaky breath. I was a widower. My wife Karen died of a heart attack completely unexpected. Left me with 2 kids. Emily was 7, Michael was 4. I was drowning in grief and they needed a mother, and Miranda just appeared. How did you meet her? At a grief support group. Can you believe that? She was there claiming her fiancé had died. Looking back, I don't think any of it was true. I think she was hunting. Hunting. For someone like me. Wealthy. Grieving. Desperate. With young children who needed care. Marcus felt sick. She was perfect at first. Thomas continued. So loving with the kids, so understanding of my grief. She never pushed for anything. Just let me lean on her. By the time we got married, I thought I'd found someone who could help my family heal. When did things change? About 3 months in, I had to travel for work. I'm in pharmaceutical sales, and when I came back, Emily was different, quiet, withdrawn. She flinched when I touched her. What did Miranda say? That Emily was having trouble adjusting, that she missed her mother, that children often act out with step-parents. It all sounded so reasonable. Thomas's hands shook as he lifted his coffee cup. But things kept getting worse. Emily lost weight. Michael started having nightmares. The nanny I'd hired for years suddenly quit, said she'd found another job, but she was crying when she left. Did you confront Miranda? Eventually, after Emily broke down one night and told me Miranda had been locking her in the basement when I traveled, leaving her down there for hours in the dark. What did Miranda say? She denied everything, said Emily was lying for attention, said my daughter had psychological problems probably from losing her mother. She was so calm, so reasonable. She even suggested we get Emily evaluated by a psychiatrist, her psychiatrist as it turned out. Thomas's voice hardened. That doctor diagnosed Emily with attachment disorder, said she was fabricating abuse stories to sabotage her father's new marriage. It took me 3 more months to realize Miranda had coached the whole thing. How did you finally get her out? I hired a private investigator, found the nanny who'd quit. She'd witnessed abuse but was terrified to talk because Miranda had threatened her family. Found out Miranda had done this before to another family in Chicago, though I could never prove it. Did you go to the police? I tried. They said it was a he said she said situation. Miranda had her psychiatrist backing her up. She had explanations for everything. They said without concrete proof there was nothing they could do. So you paid her off. $100,000, plus a confidentiality agreement. My lawyer said it was the fastest way to protect my kids. If we went to court, they'd have to testify, be cross-examined, relive everything. I just wanted her gone. Thomas met Marcus's eyes. I took the coward's way out. And not a day goes by that I don't regret it. My kids are 17 and 14 now, both still in therapy, both still dealing with trauma. Would you testify against her if it came to that? Thomas was quiet for a long moment. I signed a confidentiality agreement. If I testify, she'll sue me for breach of contract. I could lose everything. My son is 2 years old, Marcus said quietly. She's been starving him, dragging him by his hair. There's a bald spot on his head where she tore hair out by the roots. Thomas flinched like he'd been struck. He's black, Marcus continued. My wife, Rebecca, his mother was black. Miranda has been telling him he doesn't belong in our family, that nobody would miss him if he was gone. Thomas's face went pale. She said things like that to Michael too. He was adopted Korean. She told him he wasn't really part of our family. Told him we only kept him out of pity. Will you testify? Thomas stared at the table for what felt like forever. Yes, he finally said. Yes, I'll testify. I'll break the confidentiality agreement. I'll tell them everything. If it helps put her away, if it protects your children, then the consequences are worth it. Thank you. Don't thank me. I should have done this years ago. Maybe your children wouldn't have had to suffer if I'd been brave enough to speak up. Marcus flew back to his hotel room feeling something he hadn't felt since this nightmare began. Hope. He had Dorothy's testimony. He had Thomas's testimony. He had medical evidence. He had Lily's account. It wasn't just his word against Miranda's anymore. But Miranda wasn't going down without a fight. His phone rang at 6 o'clock that evening. Unknown number. Hello? Marcus. Miranda's voice was calm, pleasant, the voice she used at charity galas and business dinners. We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you. That's unfortunate, because I have quite a lot to say to you. Starting with the fact that you're making a terrible mistake. The only mistake I made was marrying you. Really? Because I think the biggest mistake you could make is going through with this divorce, this custody battle, these ridiculous abuse allegations. They're not allegations. They're documented facts. Facts can be interpreted in many ways, darling. A 2-year-old with bruises. Children fall constantly. A thin 8-year-old. She's always been a picky eater. A disgruntled former housekeeper making accusations, obviously bitter about being fired for theft. Dorothy didn't steal anything and you know it. I know what I documented. I have receipts, Marcus, records, evidence that she was skimming cash from household accounts for months. Who do you think a judge will believe? A wealthy, respectable wife, or a domestic worker with a grudge? Marcus's grip on the phone tightened. What do you want, Miranda? I want us to handle this like civilized adults, a quiet divorce, a fair settlement, and we both walk away without destroying each other's lives. You abused my children. I disciplined your children. There's a difference. And if you try to prove otherwise in court, I will make your life a living hell. Is that a threat? It's a promise. I know things about your business, Marcus. The Singapore deal. The one with the mysterious offshore accounts. I've been doing my research. I have documents, emails, records of transactions that might interest the SEC very much. Marcus felt cold. You're bluffing. Am I? Try me. Take me to court and watch what happens. Every dirty secret you have will come spilling out. Your reputation will be destroyed. Your company will be investigated. Your precious children will have to watch their father's empire crumble. I don't care about my reputation. I don't care about my company. You should. Because when the dust settles, when you've lost everything, I'll still be standing. I always am. Marcus forced his voice to stay steady. Here's what's going to happen, Miranda. I'm going to divorce you. I'm going to get full custody of my children, and I'm going to make sure you face criminal charges for what you did to them. You can't prove anything. I have Dorothy's testimony. I have Thomas Hartley's testimony. I have medical evidence. I have 18 months of documented abuse. Silence on the other end. Then Miranda laughed. Thomas Hartley is bound by a confidentiality agreement. If he testifies, I'll sue him into bankruptcy. As for your housekeeper, do you really think her word will stand up against mine? A domestic worker versus a millionaire's wife. We'll see what a jury thinks. No, Marcus, we won't. Because you're going to drop this. You're going to agree to a quiet divorce with a generous settlement. And you're going to stop trying to destroy me. Or what? Or I'll destroy you first. And I'll enjoy every minute of it. The line went dead. Marcus sat very still, his mind racing. She was cornered, desperate. That made her dangerous. He called Richard immediately. She just threatened me. Blackmail. She claims to have documents about my business dealings. Is there anything to find? Nothing illegal. But she could spin things to make them look bad. Create enough doubt to damage my reputation. That's a risk we'll have to take. Do you want to back off? Marcus looked through the doorway at his children. Lily was helping Jalen stack blocks on the floor. Both of them finally relaxed for the first time in months. No, he said. We're going forward, whatever it takes. The next 2 weeks were a blur of legal preparations. Catherine Morgan joined the team, a former federal prosecutor who'd become the most feared family lawyer in New York. She reviewed the evidence with methodical precision. This is a strong case, she said after examining everything. The medical documentation alone is damaging. Add Dorothy's testimony. Thomas Hartley's testimony about the pattern and Lily's account, we have a compelling narrative of systematic abuse. What about Miranda's threats? The business allegations. If she has anything real, she'd have used it already. My guess is she's bluffing, trying to scare you into settling. Abusers often do that when they're cornered. And if she's not bluffing, then we deal with it. But Marcus, Catherine leaned forward. Your children's safety has to come first. If protecting them means some bad press for you, some investigations, some damage to your reputation, is that a trade you're willing to make? In a heartbeat. Good. Then let's proceed. The emergency custody hearing was scheduled for the following Monday. Marcus spent the weekend preparing with his legal team, going over testimony, reviewing documents, anticipating Miranda's counterattacks. But Sunday night, everything changed. His phone rang at 10:30. David Rodriguez, the private investigator. Mr. Whitfield, we have a problem. A big one. What kind of problem? Miranda just withdrew $180,000 in cash from a hidden account we didn't know existed. What does that mean? It means she's either planning to run or planning something else. People don't withdraw that kind of cash unless they're getting ready to disappear or getting ready to do something they don't want traced. Marcus's blood ran cold. Where is she now? At her apartment. I have people watching. But Marcus, she's been making phone calls all day. Encrypted phone. We can't trace them. Can you find out who she's talking to? We're trying, but you need to be careful. Keep the children close. Don't let your guard down. Marcus hung up and immediately checked on Lily and Jalen. Both asleep. Both peaceful. He stationed himself in a chair outside their bedroom door and stayed there all night, watching, waiting. Something bad was coming. He could feel it. The hearing was scheduled for 9 in the morning. Marcus arrived at the courthouse at 8 with Catherine and his security team, the children safe back at the hotel with Dorothy and the guards. Miranda was already there. She looked perfect, hairstyled, makeup flawless, wearing a modest navy dress that screamed respectable mother. Her attorney, Gregory Dalton, sat beside her expensive suit, confident smile. One of the most aggressive family lawyers in the city. Judge Patricia Whitmore presided. A stern woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and no patience for games. We're here for an emergency custody hearing in the matter of Whitfield versus Whitfield, the judge said. Mrs. Morgan, you've filed for temporary sole custody on behalf of your client. Present your case. Catherine stood. Your Honor, we have substantial evidence of systematic abuse of the minor children by the respondent Miranda Whitfield. I'd like to begin by entering into evidence the medical reports from Dr. Rachel Foster, the children's pediatrician. She handed the documents to the clerk. These reports document severe malnutrition in both children. The 2-year-old Jalen Whitfield is in the 5th percentile for weight. He should be in the 50th. The 8-year-old Lily Whitfield has lost 16 pounds in 10 months. Both children show bruising in various stages of healing, indicating repeated physical trauma over an extended period. Miranda's expression remained perfectly composed. I'd also like to call our first witness, Dr. Rachel Foster. Dr. Foster took the stand and was sworn in. Dr. Foster, you've been the Whitfield family pediatrician for how long? 8 years, since Lily was born. Can you describe the condition of the children when you examined them on the night of March 15th? Both children showed clear signs of chronic malnutrition. Jalen was severely underweight, anemic, dehydrated. His blood work indicated he hadn't been receiving adequate nutrition for months. There was also a significant wound on his scalp hair, had been torn out by force, leaving a raw bleeding patch. And Lily. Lily had lost a dangerous amount of weight. Her ribs were visible. She had bruising on her arms, consistent with forceful grabbing finger-shaped marks. She also had older bruises on her torso that appeared to be from blunt impact. In your professional medical opinion, what caused these injuries? Physical abuse and willful neglect. These are not accidental injuries or normal childhood bumps and bruises. This is a pattern of systematic mistreatment. Gregory Dalton cross-examined aggressively. Dr. Foster, isn't it true that children can be naturally thin, that some children are simply picky eaters? These children are not naturally thin. They are starving. Their lab values confirm malnutrition. Couldn't the bruises be from normal childhood play? Falls, bumps, rough housing. The pattern and placement of these bruises is inconsistent with accidental injury. The finger-shaped marks on the arms indicate grabbing with significant force. But you can't say with certainty who caused these injuries, can you? I can say with certainty that these children have been abused. The evidence is overwhelming. Dorothy testified next. She walked to the stand with quiet dignity, her hands steady despite her nerves. Ms. Thompson, you worked as a housekeeper for the Whitfield family for how long? 6 years. I started when Miss Lily was 2 years old. And you were terminated by Miranda Whitfield? Yes, ma'am, about 8 months ago. Can you tell the court what you witnessed during your time working in that household after Miranda Whitfield moved in? Dorothy took a deep breath. The first time I saw Mrs. Whitfield hit Lily was about 3 months after the wedding. Mr. Whitfield had just left for a business trip. I was in the kitchen when Mrs. Whitfield walked in and slapped Lily's cereal bowl right off the table. Then she slapped Lily across the face. Miranda's composure flickered for just a moment. What happened after that? Mrs. Whitfield told Lily there would be new rules now that her father was gone. No asking for food, no complaining, no crying. If she broke any rule, she'd be punished. What kind of punishment? The closet mostly. A small dark closet under the stairs. She'd lock Lily in there for hours. I could hear that child crying and begging to be let out. Did you witness any abuse of the younger child, Jalen? Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Whitfield was rougher with Jalen. She'd grab him hard, shake him when he cried, drag him by his arm or his hair. She said terrible things about him, about his skin color, about how he didn't belong in the family. Why didn't you report this to the authorities? Dorothy's eyes filled with tears. Mrs. Whitfield threatened me. She said she'd planted evidence in my room jewelry cache. She said she'd tell everyone I was stealing. She threatened my daughter's career. I was scared, so I stayed quiet. But I documented everything, every incident, every date. I took pictures when I could. Catherine entered Dorothy's journal and photographs into evidence. Dalton's cross-examination was brutal. Ms. Thompson, you were fired for theft, weren't you? No, sir. I was accused of theft after I tried to tell Mr. Whitfield what was happening. You have a grudge against Mrs. Whitfield. I have a duty to tell the truth about what I saw. A jury might think you're making up stories to hurt the woman who fired you. Dorothy looked directly at him. I spent 18 months watching that woman torture those babies. I kept my mouth shut because I was scared. That's something I'll have to live with for the rest of my life. But I'm not scared anymore, and I'm telling the truth, every word. Thomas Hartley testified next. He described his own experience with Miranda, the same pattern of behavior, the same targeting of vulnerable children, the same threats to silence witnesses. She did exactly the same thing to my kids, Thomas said. Sweet when I was around, cruel when I was gone. My daughter still has nightmares. My son still can't trust adults. You're violating a confidentiality agreement by testifying today, aren't you? Catherine asked. Yes. Why are you willing to do that? Because I was a coward before. I paid her off and kept quiet because I was tired and scared. But my silence meant she was free to do this to another family. If I'd spoken up years ago, maybe these children wouldn't have had to suffer. Dalton attacked him on cross. You're breaking a legal contract. You could be sued for breach. I know. You're willing to risk financial ruin to testify against your ex-wife. I'm willing to risk everything to protect children from a predator, something I should have done a long time ago. It was Miranda's turn to present her defense. Dalton called her to the stand. She walked up with perfect composure, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Mrs. Whitfield, can you describe your relationship with your stepchildren? I love them, Miranda said, her voice trembling. From the moment I met them, I wanted to help them heal from losing their mother. It hasn't been easy. Lily especially has struggled to accept me. But I've tried so hard to be patient, to be loving. How do you explain the medical findings, the malnutrition? Both children are extremely picky eaters. Lily refuses most foods. Jalen has a sensitive stomach. I've consulted nutritionists, tried everything, but they just won't eat properly. I've been worried sick about it. And the bruises. Jalen is very active. He falls constantly. And Lily... Miranda paused, looking down. Lily has been hurting herself. Deliberately. Seeking attention. I've been trying to get her psychological help, but Marcus is never home to discuss it. What about the allegations from the former housekeeper? Dorothy Thompson was stealing from us. I documented it thoroughly before I dismissed her. She's obviously making up these stories out of revenge. And Thomas Hartley. Thomas and I had a difficult divorce. He's never forgiven me for leaving him. He's violating a legal agreement to hurt me that should tell you something about his credibility. Catherine's cross-examination was surgical. Mrs. Whitfield, you claim Lily has been hurting herself. Do you have any medical documentation of this? I was planning to get her evaluated, but yes or no? Do you have documentation? No. You claim the children are picky eaters. Yet their pediatrician, who has treated them for 8 years, says they've never had eating problems before you entered their lives. How do you explain that? Children change. They go through phases. Dorothy Thompson testified that you slapped Lily across the face. Did you do that? Absolutely not. She testified that you locked Lily in a closet for hours. Did you do that? No, never. She testified that you threatened her, her daughter, her career. Did you do that? Dorothy is lying. She's a bitter ex-employee making up stories. Thomas Hartley testified that you abused his children in exactly the same way. Is he also lying? Thomas is mentally unstable. He's been vindictive since our divorce. So everyone is lying. The doctor, the housekeeper, your ex-husband, the children themselves, everyone except you. Miranda's composure cracked slightly. I'm saying I've been falsely accused by people with agendas. Let me ask you directly, Mrs. Whitfield. Did you drag your 2-year-old stepson across the floor by his hair on the night of March 15th? Miranda hesitated for just a fraction of a second. I was separating him from Lily. He'd been aggressive. I may have grabbed him more firmly than I intended, but I certainly didn't drag him by his hair. Your husband witnessed you doing exactly that. Are you saying he's lying too? I'm saying he misinterpreted what he saw. He was exhausted from traveling. He overreacted. Catherine let the silence hang for a moment. No further questions, Your Honor. Judge Whitmore adjourned for the day to review the evidence. Marcus walked out of the courthouse feeling cautiously optimistic. The testimony had been powerful. The evidence was overwhelming, but something still nagged at him. Miranda had been too calm, too composed, like she knew something they didn't. His phone rang as he reached his car. David Rodriguez. Marcus, we have a serious problem. Miranda's gone. What do you mean gone? She slipped out of the courthouse through a back entrance. My team lost her. And Marcus, that cash she withdrew. My sources say she's been in contact with some very dangerous people. What kind of people? The kind who make problems disappear. You need to get to your children. Now. Marcus's blood turned to ice. He ran to his car, fumbling with the keys, heart pounding. The hotel was 20 minutes away. He made it in 12. Marcus burst through the hotel lobby, his heart hammering against his ribs. The elevator was too slow. He took the stairs 3 at a time, his breath ragged, his mind racing with every terrible possibility. He reached the 7th floor and sprinted down the hallway. The security guards were still at the door, both of them, standing, alert. Marcus nearly collapsed with relief. "The children," he gasped. "Are they okay?" "Yes, sir. Everything's quiet. Dorothy's with them inside." Marcus pushed past them and threw open the door. Lily looked up from the couch where she was reading to Jalen. Her eyes went wide. "Daddy, what's wrong?" Marcus crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled both children into his arms, holding them so tight Jalen squeaked in protest. "Nothing's wrong, sweetheart. Nothing. I just missed you." Dorothy came out of the kitchen wiping her hands on a towel. "Mr. Whitfield, is everything all right? You look like you've seen a ghost. We need to leave. Now. Pack everything." "Leave, but the hearing. We're moving to a different location, somewhere Miranda doesn't know about." Dorothy's face went pale. "She's planning something, isn't she?" "Maybe. I don't know, but I'm not taking any chances." They packed in 15 minutes. Marcus called Richard while Dorothy gathered the children's things. "I need a safe house. Tonight. Somewhere completely off the grid. I have a property in Connecticut. Under a shell company. Impossible to trace. I'll send you the address. Security. I'll have a team there within the hour." They left through the service entrance, Marcus carrying Jalen, while Lily held Dorothy's hand. The security guards flanked them, eyes scanning every shadow. The drive to Connecticut took 2 hours in the dark. Jalen fell asleep in his car seat. Lily stayed awake watching out the window. "Daddy?" "Yes, sweetheart." "Is she going to find us?" Marcus looked at his daughter in the rearview mirror. 8 years old, thin, traumatized, already carrying fears no child should ever know. "No," he said firmly. "She's never going to hurt you again, I promise." "How can you be sure?" "Because I won't let her. Because I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe. Whatever it takes." Lily was quiet for a long moment. "I believe you, Daddy." Those 3 words meant more to Marcus than anything he'd ever accomplished in his entire career. The safe house was a farmhouse on 20 acres surrounded by trees and accessed by a single long driveway. The security team was already there when they arrived. 4 men all armed, all positioned around the property. Marcus got the children settled in a bedroom upstairs. Dorothy took the room next door. The security guards established a rotation, 2 on duty at all times. For 3 days, nothing happened. Marcus checked in with Richard hourly. The court hearing had been postponed while they located Miranda. Police were searching for her, but she'd vanished. No credit card activity, no phone signals, no sightings. It was like she'd disappeared into thin air. On the 4th day, Catherine called with news from the judge. Whitmore issued her preliminary ruling this morning. "Based on the evidence presented, she's granting you temporary sole custody of both children. Miranda is prohibited from any contact with them pending the final hearing." That's good news. It's very good news. But Marcus, until they find her, you need to stay vigilant. She's cornered, desperate, and possibly unhinged. People in that state are unpredictable. Marcus promised to be careful and hung up. For a moment, just a moment, he let himself feel hope. The court was on his side. The evidence was overwhelming. Miranda would face consequences. His children would be safe. Then his phone rang again. Unknown number. He answered cautiously. "Hello." Heavy breathing. Then Miranda's voice, but wrong. Strange. Unhinged in a way he'd never heard before. "Marcus, we need to talk about our children." "They're not your children." "Where are you, Miranda?" "Somewhere meaningful. Somewhere that matters." A pause. Then a laugh that made his skin crawl. "I'm at Rebecca's grave, Marcus. Did you know there's room in her plot for 2 small caskets? I've been thinking about that. Thinking about how those children should be with their real mother, not with you. Not with anyone who would turn them against me." Marcus's throat closed with terror. "Miranda, listen to me. Whatever you're planning." "I'm not planning anything, darling. I already did it." "What do you mean?" "I left you a little surprise. At Dorothy's old apartment in Queens. You should probably check on your precious baby boy very soon." The line went dead. Marcus stood frozen for 3 seconds. Then his blood turned to ice. Dorothy's old apartment. The one Dorothy had kept for her belongings when she'd moved into the safe house. The one where Jalen and Dorothy had stayed for one night last week before they'd relocated. Miranda had been tracking them. She knew about the apartment, but the children were here, safe, with him. Weren't they? Marcus sprinted upstairs and threw open the bedroom door. Lily sat up in bed, startled. Jalen's crib was empty. "Where's your brother?" Marcus demanded. Dorothy took him downstairs for a bottle. He was fussy and Marcus was already running. He found Dorothy in the kitchen, Jalen in her arms, the baby drinking contentedly from a bottle. "Mr. Whitfield, what's happening?" Marcus grabbed his phone and dialed 911. "I need police and fire rescue at..." He gave Dorothy's Queens apartment address. "There's been a threat against a child. Possible explosive device. Send everyone. Now." "Sir, can you confirm?" "Send everyone." He hung up and turned to the security team leader. "Lock down the property. No one in or out. And call David Rodriguez. I need to know where Miranda is right now." The next hour was the longest of Marcus's life. He held Jalen while they waited, held him, and wouldn't let go. Dorothy sat with Lily, keeping her calm. Answering questions Marcus couldn't bring himself to answer. David Rodriguez called first. "Marcus, the police found her. Miranda was at the apartment. And she'd tampered with the gas line, disconnected it. The apartment was filled with gas. If anyone had turned on a light, struck a match, even flipped a switch, the whole place would have gone up." Marcus's knees went weak. But no one was there. No one was there. The apartment was empty. The police got there in time. Where's Miranda now? They arrested her trying to leave the building. She fought them, screaming about how the children deserved to die, how they'd ruined her life, how you'd turned them against her. Marcus closed his eyes. It's over. It's over. She's in custody. She's not getting bail this time, not with attempted murder charges on top of everything else. She's done, Marcus. She can't hurt your children anymore. Marcus hung up and looked at his children. Jalen had fallen asleep in his arms, one small hand clutching Marcus's shirt. Lily was watching him with those serious eyes that had seen too much. "Is she going to jail, Daddy?" "Yes, sweetheart. She's going to jail for a very long time. Promise." "I promise." Lily nodded slowly. Then she crossed the room and wrapped her thin arms around Marcus's waist, pressing her face against him. "I'm glad you came home early that day," she whispered. "I'm glad you saw what she was doing." Marcus held both his children close, tears streaming down his face. "Me too, baby. Me too." The criminal trial began 5 months later. Miranda's bail had been denied 4 times. Psychiatric evaluations confirmed she was competent to stand trial. The prosecution had built a case so overwhelming that even her expensive legal team couldn't find weaknesses. The courtroom was packed on opening day. Journalists, child advocates, people who'd followed the case through months of pre-trial hearings. Marcus sat in the front row with Dorothy beside him. The children were safely at home with the security team he'd wanted to shield them from seeing Miranda again. Miranda was led in wearing an orange jumpsuit, no makeup, unwashed hair, looking nothing like the polished woman who'd fooled Marcus for 2 years. Her eyes were cold, hard. The mask completely gone now. Judge Patricia Whitmore called the court to order. "We're here for the criminal trial of Miranda Ann Whitfield facing charges of child abuse, child endangerment, attempted murder, theft, fraud, and violation of a restraining order. Is the prosecution ready?" Sarah Mitchell, the lead prosecutor, stood. "Yes, Your Honor." Her opening statement was devastating. "The evidence will show that Miranda Whitfield is a predator who targeted a grieving widower and his vulnerable children. She systematically abused those children for nearly 2 years, starving them, beating them, terrorizing them, all while stealing money and maintaining a perfect facade." Sarah paused, looking at the jury. When she was finally caught when she was losing control, she attempted to murder a 2-year-old child by filling an apartment with gas. Only luck prevented an explosion that would have killed anyone inside. She pointed at Miranda. "This is not a stressed stepmother who made mistakes. This is calculated cruelty, by someone completely incapable of empathy or remorse. The prosecution's witnesses came one after another. Dr. Foster testified about the children's medical condition, the malnutrition, the bruises, the systematic neglect. These children were starving in a mansion with unlimited resources, she said. That alone tells you this was deliberate cruelty, not mere neglect. Dorothy testified about what she'd witnessed. The slapping, the closet, the threats, the way Miranda transformed the moment Marcus left for business trips. I'll never forget the look in that woman's eyes when she told me what would happen if I talked, Dorothy said. She wasn't angry. She was smiling, like it was all a game to her. Thomas Hartley testified about his own experience. The identical pattern, the same targeting of vulnerable children, the same threats to silence witnesses. My children are 17 and 14 now, Thomas said. Both still in therapy. Both still dealing with trauma from what Miranda did to them. I should have spoken up years ago. Maybe these children wouldn't have had to suffer if I'd been brave enough. The arson investigator testified about the gas attack. The gas line was deliberately disconnected. The apartment was systematically filled with gas. Any spark would have caused a massive explosion. This was premeditated attempted murder. There's no other interpretation. Lily's videotaped testimony played for the jury. Her small voice filled the courtroom, describing years of abuse in simple, clear sentences. She hit me when Daddy wasn't home. She said I was bad and stupid and worthless. She pulled my hair and locked me in dark places. She hurt Jalen more because he cried a lot. She said he didn't belong in our family because of his skin. She said he should have died with Mommy. Several jurors were crying by the end. One woman stared at Miranda with undisguised hatred. The defense tried everything. Gregory Dalton called a psychiatrist who testified about adjustment disorder, about how Miranda had been overwhelmed by instant motherhood, about how her actions stemmed from mental illness rather than malice. Sarah Mitchell's rebuttal psychiatrist destroyed that argument. Miranda Whitfield shows clear signs of antisocial personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder. Her pattern of behavior across multiple families, her ability to maintain a perfect facade while committing calculated abuse, these indicate a serious personality disorder, not a temporary breakdown. She knew exactly what she was doing. She simply didn't care. Then Miranda took the stand, against her lawyer's strong objections. She apparently believed she could charm the jury the way she'd charmed everyone else. It was the worst decision of her life. Under Sarah Mitchell's cross-examination, her composure crumbled piece by piece. Mrs. Whitfield, you claimed the children's weight loss was due to picky eating, yet Dorothy Thompson documented you giving them tiny portions and denying them food. How do you explain that? Dorothy is lying. Dr. Foster's medical evidence shows systematic starvation. Is she lying too? She's being paid to support Marcus's narrative. Thomas Hartley's children made identical accusations against you years ago. Were they lying? Children are easily manipulated. So everyone is lying. The doctor, the housekeeper, your ex-husband, the children themselves, everyone except you. I'm saying I've been falsely accused by people with agendas. Let me ask you about the night of the gas attack. You disconnected the gas line at Dorothy Thompson's apartment. You filled the apartment with gas. You intended to kill anyone who entered. Correct. Miranda's jaw tightened. I was trying to send a message. A message? What kind of message requires filling an apartment with explosive gas? Those children ruined my life. They turned Marcus against me. They made him believe I was some kind of monster. So you decided to kill them. I didn't say that. You testified that you left a surprise for Marcus at that apartment. You called to tell him to check on his precious baby boy. You expected the child to be there. You expected him to die. Miranda's composure finally shattered. Those children were never going to accept me. No matter what I did, they were always going to choose their dead mother over me. Jalen wasn't even supposed to exist. Marcus should have gotten rid of him after Rebecca died. A black child in that family. It was ridiculous. Nobody would have missed him. Nobody. The courtroom erupted. Judge Whitmore gavelled for order, but the damage was done. Miranda seemed to realize too late what she'd admitted. Her lawyer's face went white. The jury stared at her with open horror. "No further questions, Your Honor," Sarah Mitchell said quietly. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. They returned with unanimous guilty verdicts on every single charge. Miranda had to be physically restrained as the verdicts were read. She screamed at the jury, at the judge, at Marcus, calling them fools, idiots, blind. "You don't understand," she shrieked as the bailiffs dragged her away. "I did everything right. I was perfect. This isn't fair. This isn't fair." Her screaming echoed down the hallway long after she'd disappeared from sight. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. Judge Whitmore's face was grave as she addressed the courtroom. "In 32 years on the bench, I have rarely encountered such calculated cruelty toward innocent children. Miranda Whitfield exploited a family's grief. She targeted the most vulnerable victims possible, a grieving widower and his young children. She systematically abused those children for nearly 2 years. And when she was caught, she attempted to murder a 2-year-old baby. She looked directly at Miranda. She has shown absolutely no remorse, no recognition of the harm she caused, no humanity whatsoever. The sentence, 25 years for child abuse, 25 years for attempted murder, 10 years for theft and fraud, 5 years for violating the restraining order. All sentences consecutive. 65 years total. Miranda would be 97 if she ever saw freedom again. She sobbed as she was led away in chains, still insisting none of it was her fault, still blaming the children for ruining her life. Marcus watched her go and felt something shift inside him. Not joy, not satisfaction exactly. Relief. A weight he'd been carrying for months, years, really finally lifting from his shoulders. It was over. Truly, finally over. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded him. Cameras flashing. Questions shouted. Marcus read a brief statement. "Justice has been served today, for my children and for all of Miranda's victims. We ask for privacy now as we focus on healing and rebuilding our family. Thank you." He walked through the crowd, climbed into his waiting car, and headed home. To his children. To the life they would finally be able to build together. To the healing that could finally begin. The first night back home, Marcus sat on the edge of Lily's bed and watched her sleep. Her face was peaceful for the first time in months. No tension, no fear. Just a little girl dreaming whatever little girls dream about. Jalen slept in the next room, his breathing steady through the baby monitor. Dorothy had insisted on staying the night, taking the guest room, refusing to leave until she was sure everyone was settled. Marcus didn't sleep at all. He sat there in the dark thinking about everything that had happened, everything he'd missed, everything he'd almost lost. At 3 a.m, his phone buzzed. A text from Richard Sterling. "Congratulations on the verdict. Take time to heal. The hard work starts now." Marcus knew exactly what he meant. The trial was over. Miranda was going to prison. But the real work, the work of rebuilding his family, of helping his children recover from trauma, of becoming the father he should have been all along, that work was just beginning. The next morning, Marcus made a decision. He called his business partner, James Chen, before the children woke up. "James, I need to talk to you about the firm. I saw the news. Congratulations on the verdict. How are the kids?" "They're going to be okay, eventually. But that's what I want to talk about. I can't keep doing this, James. The travel, the 80-hour weeks, the missed birthdays and school plays and bedtime stories." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I want to sell you my shares. Step back from day-to-day operations. Maybe consult occasionally, but nothing that takes me away from my children." Silence on the other end. "Marcus, that's a huge decision. You built this company from nothing. And I nearly lost my children because I was too busy building it to notice they were being tortured in my own home. The company doesn't matter anymore, James. Nothing matters except them." "You're sure about this?" I've never been more sure of anything in my life. They agreed to meet the following week to discuss details. By the time Marcus hung up, he felt lighter than he had in years. Money had never been the point. Success had never been the point. He'd told himself he was building something for his children's future. But what good was a fortune if he wasn't there to watch them grow up? Lily came downstairs at 7, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Morning, Daddy." "Morning, sweetheart. How did you sleep?" "Good." She climbed onto a stool at the kitchen counter. "Really good, actually. I didn't have any bad dreams." "That's wonderful. Is she really gone forever?" Marcus set down the spatula he'd been using to make pancakes and looked at his daughter. "She's really gone. She's going to be in prison for the rest of her life. She can never hurt you again." Lily nodded slowly, processing this. "I keep waiting to feel happy about it," she said quietly. "But I just feel tired." "Is that weird?" "That's not weird at all, sweetheart. You've been through something terrible. Your body and your mind need time to recover. Feeling tired is completely normal." "Will I feel happy again someday?" Marcus came around the counter and crouched beside her. "Yes, I promise. You're going to feel happy again. You're going to feel safe again. It might take time, but we're going to get there. Together." Lily wrapped her arms around his neck. "I love you, Daddy." "I love you too, baby. More than anything in the world." The first therapy session was scheduled for that afternoon. Dr. Laura Williams specialized in childhood trauma. She'd testified at the trial, providing expert analysis of the psychological damage Miranda had caused. Now she would help the children heal. Marcus brought both kids to her office, a warm, comfortable space filled with toys and art supplies. "Lily, Jalen, it's nice to see you again," Dr. Williams said gently. "We're going to spend some time together talking and playing. Your daddy will be right outside if you need him." Lily looked uncertain. "It's okay," Marcus assured her. "Dr. Williams is here to help, and I'm not going anywhere." He waited in the reception area for an hour, checking his phone every few minutes, fighting the urge to burst through the door and gather his children in his arms. When the session ended, Lily emerged looking thoughtful. "How was it?" Marcus asked. "Okay, I guess. We mostly just played with toys and talked about feelings. Dr. Williams says it's okay to be scared and angry. She says those feelings don't mean anything is wrong with me." "That's absolutely right." "She also said you're going to have sessions too, just you. Is that true?" Marcus glanced at Dr. Williams, who nodded. "Yes," he said. "I have things I need to work through too. Things I feel guilty about. Dr. Williams is going to help me with those feelings." "Like what things?" "Like not being there to protect you. Like not seeing what was happening sooner. Like putting work before my family." Lily took his hand. "You didn't know, Daddy. You came home early because you felt something was wrong. You saved us." "Maybe. But I should have been there all along. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making up for the time I missed." The weeks that followed were challenging in ways Marcus hadn't anticipated. Healing wasn't linear. Some days were good. Lily would laugh and play like a normal 8-year-old. Jalen would babble happily, reaching for Marcus whenever he walked into the room. Other days were hard. Lily would wake up screaming from nightmares. She'd refuse to eat, suddenly convinced that the food would be taken away. She'd lock herself in her room and cry for hours. Jalen would flinch at sudden movements. He'd scream if anyone raised their voice, even in excitement. He still had trouble eating regular portions, his tiny stomach unable to handle the food he now had access to. Dorothy stayed on as a permanent member of the household. She'd refused salary at first. "I just want to be with those babies," she'd said. "Watch them get better. That's all the payment I need." Marcus had insisted on paying her anyway, a generous salary plus benefits. She'd cried when she saw the amount. "Mr. Whitfield, this is too much." "It's not enough. You kept records when you could have stayed quiet. You testified when you could have hidden. You helped save my children's lives. I can never repay that." Dorothy took on the role of a grandmother, filling a void the children hadn't known they needed filled. She cooked the foods Lily remembered from before simple dishes, comfort foods, the kind of meals that said love without words. She rocked Jalen when he cried, sang him songs in her gentle voice, slowly, patiently helped him learn that adults could be trusted again. 3 months after the trial, Marcus sold his shares in the investment firm. James Chen bought him out for a figure that made the news: $83 million. More money than Marcus could ever spend. He didn't care about the number. He cared about the freedom it represented. "What are you going to do now?" Catherine Morgan asked over coffee the day the deal closed. "Be a father. Actually be a father, not just send money home while other people raise my children." That's a big change from running a 9-figure company. Best change I've ever made. Marcus used some of the money to buy a new house, a farmhouse in Westchester far from the city and its memories. 20 acres of land, a treehouse, room for the golden retriever puppy Lily had been begging for. The old mansion went on the market. Marcus never went back, not even to pack. He hired people to box everything up and ship what the children wanted to keep. Everything else could burn for all he cared. The new house felt different from the first day. Light poured through the windows. Birds sang in the trees outside. There was space to run and play and be children without fear. Lily picked out her own room, the one with the bay window overlooking the garden. She decorated it with posters and photos and drawings, making it hers in a way her old room never had been. Jalen's room was next door, close enough that Lily could hear if he cried, though she was slowly learning she didn't have to be his protector anymore. Marcus took the master bedroom down the hall. He put a photo of Rebecca on his nightstand, the one from their wedding day, her smile bright and beautiful and full of hope. "I'm going to take care of them," he told her one night alone in the dark. "I'm going to do better. I'm going to be the father you always wanted me to be." He could almost hear her voice in response. "I know you will. I'm watching. I'm proud of you." 6 months after the trial, Thomas Hartley called. "How are the kids?" "Getting better. Slowly. Lily's doing well in school. Jalen's hitting his developmental milestones. They're still in therapy, but Dr. Williams says they're making excellent progress." "I'm glad. Really glad." "How are your kids, Thomas?" A pause. "Emily called me last week. First time in 2 years she's initiated contact. She said she saw the trial coverage, saw me testify. She said she was proud of me." "That's wonderful." "It is. I've been crying about it all week, actually. Happy tears. For the first time in years, I feel like maybe we're going to be okay. Maybe the damage isn't permanent." "That's what I keep telling myself too." "I wanted to thank you, Marcus. If you hadn't pushed me to testify, if you hadn't given me the courage to break that confidentiality agreement, I might never have gotten this call from Emily. Speaking the truth, facing what happened, it's helping my family heal too." Marcus thought about that conversation for a long time after they hung up. Truth had power. Speaking it, facing it, refusing to hide from it, that was how healing happened. Not just for his children. For everyone Miranda had ever hurt. The idea came to him late one night, sitting on the porch watching fireflies dance over the garden. A foundation, named for Rebecca, dedicated to protecting children from abusers who hid behind wealth and power. He called Catherine Morgan the next morning. "I want to start a nonprofit, something that helps identify abuse in wealthy families, the ones where money and reputation make people look the other way." "That's ambitious." "I have the resources, I have the motivation, and I have the connections to make it happen." What would it actually do? Train social workers to recognize signs of abuse in affluent households. Fund investigations that police departments don't have resources for. Provide legal support for witnesses who are afraid to come forward. Create safe channels for domestic workers to report what they see without fear of retaliation. You're describing a complete overhaul of how we handle these cases. I know. I'm also describing what might have saved my children 18 months sooner if it had existed. Catherine was quiet for a moment. I'm in. Pro bono legal support for the first year, whatever you need. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank your children. They're the reason any of this matters. The Rebecca Whitfield Foundation launched 8 months after the trial. The announcement made national news. Marcus gave interviews about his family's experience about the need to look beyond appearances and assumptions about how wealth and status shouldn't shield abusers from consequences. Dorothy became the foundation's first spokesperson, traveling to train domestic workers on recognizing and reporting abuse. I was scared to speak up, she told audiences across the country. I had good reasons to be scared, but my silence meant those children suffered longer than they should have. If I can help even one person find the courage I didn't have, then maybe some good can come from all that pain. Thomas Hartley joined the board of directors, bringing his own experience and perspective. We protect our reputations when we should be protecting children, he said at the first board meeting. We write checks to make problems go away when we should be facing them head on. That has to change. It has to. Sarah Mitchell, the prosecutor who'd put Miranda away, became the foundation's chief legal advisor. Cases like this are hard to prosecute, she explained to Marcus during one of their early meetings. Wealthy defendants hire excellent lawyers. They create doubt. They intimidate witnesses. Your foundation can level the playing field, give vulnerable victims and witnesses the support they need to fight back. Within the first year, the foundation identified and helped rescue 47 children from abusive situations. 47 families that might have suffered in silence, if not for what Marcus and his children had been through. Lily followed the foundation's work closely. At 9 years old, she was too young to truly understand the legal and social complexities, but she understood the mission. We're helping other kids like me and Jalen, right? She asked one evening. That's exactly right. Good. I want to help too, when I'm old enough. You already help. Every day you get stronger, every day you heal. That's proof that recovery is possible. That's hope for other families going through the same thing. Dr. Williams says I'm making really good progress. She's right. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. I still have bad days sometimes. That's okay. Everyone has bad days. The important thing is that the good days are starting to outnumber the bad ones. Lily nodded thoughtfully. I think Mommy would be proud of the foundation. I think so too. I talk to her sometimes, at night before I fall asleep. I tell her about school and my friends and Jalen and you. Do you think she can hear me? Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. I absolutely think she can hear you. I think she's watching over all of us, making sure we're okay. I think so too. Jalen's 3rd birthday was a turning point. They threw a party in the backyard. Balloons, cake, children from the neighborhood running around screaming with joy. Jalen stood in the middle of it all, overwhelmed but happy, smashing cake with both hands and laughing at the mess. He'd gained weight. His cheeks were round again. His hair had grown back fully thick and curly like Rebecca's. He no longer flinched at sudden movements, no longer screamed when people raised their voices. He reached for Marcus constantly, now wanting to be picked up, held, reassured. Daddy, he said one of his clearest words. Up. Daddy, up. Marcus picked him up and held him close. You're getting so big, buddy. So strong. Cake, Jalen announced, pointing at the demolished birthday cake. More cake. Everyone laughed. Dorothy wiped tears from her eyes. Look at that beautiful boy, she said to Marcus. Look how far he's come. Thanks to you. Thanks to everyone who helped save him. Thanks to you for finally seeing the truth, for having the courage to act on it. After the party, after the guests had gone home and the children were in bed, Marcus sat on the porch with a glass of wine. The stars were bright over the countryside. Fireflies danced in the garden. Everything was quiet and peaceful and good. He thought about how close he'd come to losing it all. If he hadn't come home early that day, if he hadn't walked through the door at exactly the right moment, If some instinct or maybe Rebecca's spirit hadn't nagged at him throughout that long flight from Tokyo, his children might have died. From starvation, from violence, from a gas explosion set by a woman who'd looked him in the eye every day and told him she loved them. The thought still made him sick. But they hadn't died. They'd survived. They were healing. They were happy. And Marcus was finally the father he should have been all along. His phone buzzed. A text from the Foundation's executive director. Another successful case closed. Family in Connecticut. 3 children removed from abusive situation. All safe. All getting help. Thank you for making this possible. Marcus smiled and put the phone away. 63 children saved now in just over a year. 63 families given a chance to heal. It wasn't enough to undo what Miranda had done. Nothing ever could be. But it was something. It was purpose. It was meaning extracted from meaningless cruelty. He finished his wine and went inside. Checked on Jalen sleeping peacefully with his stuffed elephant. Checked on Lily reading under her covers with a flashlight. Busted, Marcus said gently. Lily grinned up at him. Just one more chapter, please. One more, then lights out for real. Okay. Daddy. Yes. I love living here. I love our new life. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. He kissed her forehead and went to his own room. Looked at Rebecca's photo on the nightstand. We're okay, he told her. We're going to be okay. And for the first time since this nightmare began, he truly believed it. 6 years passed like a river flowing from darkness into light. Marcus woke every morning to the sounds of a living house footsteps on hardwood floors, the dog barking at squirrels in the garden, Lily's music drifting from her room, Jalen arguing with the television during his favorite cartoons. Sounds he'd almost never heard. Sounds he'd almost lost forever. He made breakfast every morning now. It had become their ritual: pancakes on Saturdays, eggs and toast on weekdays, whatever Jalen requested on Sundays, because the 8-year-old had somehow become obsessed with breakfast foods. Dad, can we have waffles with chocolate chips? It's Tuesday, buddy. Waffles are a weekend thing. But I asked really nicely. You did, and the answer is still no. But I'll make them extra special on Saturday, okay? Fine. Jalen grinned, not actually disappointed. He'd learned by now that boundaries meant safety. That rules meant someone cared enough to set them. Lily came downstairs in her school uniform, her hair pulled back in a neat ponytail. At 14, she was tall and confident, with Rebecca's eyes and Rebecca's smile, and a strength that was entirely her own. Morning, Dad. Morning, Squirt. Don't call me Squirt, Jalen protested. I'm almost as tall as you. In your dreams, maybe. Children, Marcus said mildly. Eat your breakfast. They ate together, the 3 of them, plus Dorothy, who refused to sit at a separate table no matter how many times Marcus insisted she was family, not staff. I raised 6 children of my own, Dorothy always said. I know where I belong, and I belong right here with y'all. After breakfast, Marcus drove both kids to school. Lily's high school was across town, a prestigious academy where she was captain of the debate team and editor of the school newspaper. She'd become passionate about social justice, about giving voice to people who couldn't speak for themselves. Dad, I've been thinking about the Foundation's summer internship program. You're 14, sweetheart. You're too young to intern. I'm almost 15, and I could do filing, answer phones, something to help. We'll talk about it when you're 16. That's what you said last year when I was 13. And I'll say it again next year when you're 15. Education first. The Foundation will still be there when you're ready. Lily rolled her eyes but didn't argue. She'd learned to pick her battles. Jalen's elementary school was closer, a cheerful building with colorful murals and a playground where he spent every recess playing soccer with his friends. Bye, Dad, he shouted, already running toward a group of boys waiting by the entrance. Have a good day, buddy. I'll pick you up at 3. Can we get ice cream after? We'll see. That means yes. That means we'll see. Marcus watched his son disappear into the crowd of children laughing and shouting, and completely carefree. 8 years old. healthy, happy, with no conscious memory of the horrors he'd endured as a toddler. The nightmares had stopped 2 years ago. The flinching had stopped even earlier. Jalen was by all appearances a perfectly normal little boy. Only Marcus knew how close they'd come to losing him forever. The foundation had grown beyond anything Marcus had imagined. 312 children rescued in 6 years. Social workers trained in every state. A hotline for domestic workers to report abuse anonymously. Legal funds that had helped put 17 abusers behind bars. Sarah Mitchell had left the prosecutor's office to run the legal division full-time. Thomas Hartley served as chairman of the board, his own healing intertwined with the foundation's mission. Dorothy had become something of a celebrity in advocacy circles, the housekeeper who'd kept records, who'd testified, despite her fear, who'd helped bring down a monster. She spoke at conferences across the country, her story inspiring others to find their courage. "I was scared," she always told her audiences. "I had every reason to be scared. But those babies needed someone to speak for them. And in the end, that mattered more than my fear." The foundation's headquarters occupied 2 floors of a building in Manhattan, but Marcus rarely went there anymore. He worked from home, attending meetings by video call, reviewing reports, while Jalen did homework at the kitchen table. His priorities had shifted permanently. Business success meant nothing compared to being present for his children's lives. Every school play, every soccer game, every parent-teacher conference, Marcus was there, always. He'd missed too much already. He refused to miss anything else. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon in late spring. Marcus was reviewing quarterly reports when his phone rang. Catherine Morgan's number. "Catherine, what's up?" "Marcus, I have news. I wanted you to hear it from me before it hits the press." Something in her voice made his stomach tighten. "What news?" "Miranda died last night, in prison. Natural causes, apparently heart failure. She was 62. Marcus sat very still. He'd thought about this moment many times over the years. Wondered how he'd feel when it finally came. Wondered if there would be satisfaction, relief, vindication. But all he felt was nothing. Just emptiness where hatred used to live. "Marcus, are you there?" "I'm here. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything. I just thought you should know. She can never hurt anyone again. Not that she could have from prison, but I understand. Thank you for telling me." "How are the kids?" "They're good. Really good." "Are you going to tell them?" Marcus thought about it. "Yes, they deserve to know. But I'll wait until tonight. Make sure we can talk about it properly." He told them after dinner, sitting together in the living room. Dorothy was there too. She'd asked to be present, and Marcus hadn't had the heart to refuse her. "Kids, I have something to tell you. Catherine Morgan called today with some news." Lily's face went still. Even after 6 years, she knew what news about Catherine usually meant. "What is it?" "Miranda died last night, in prison. Heart failure." Silence settled over the room. Jalen looked confused. He barely remembered Miranda had been too young when it happened to retain clear memories. She was just a figure from a dark time he'd heard about but couldn't recall. "Is that good or bad?" he asked. "It's neither, buddy. It's just a fact. Something that happened." Lily was quiet for a long moment. "How do you feel about it, Dad?" "Honestly, I don't feel much of anything. I thought I might feel relieved or happy or something. But I just feel done. Like a chapter finally closing." "I feel the same way," Lily said slowly. "She's been in prison for 6 years. She was always going to die there. This doesn't really change anything for us." "No, it doesn't." "Then I don't want to waste any more time thinking about her," Lily said firmly. "She took enough of our lives. She doesn't get any more." Marcus felt his heart swell with pride. His daughter had every right to carry anger and hatred for the rest of her life. Instead, she'd chosen to let go, to move forward, to refuse to give Miranda any more power over her. That's exactly right, sweetheart. That's exactly right. Dorothy wiped tears from her eyes. That evil woman is answering to God now, she said quietly. And I pray for his mercy on her soul, because she surely didn't show any to those babies. You're praying for her? Jalen asked, surprised. I'm praying for all lost souls, child. That's what my faith teaches me. But I'm also thanking God every single day that He delivered you and your sister from her hands. That's the prayer that matters most. The next morning, life continued. Marcus made breakfast. The kids went to school. Dorothy hummed hymns while she worked in the kitchen. Normal, ordinary, beautiful. Marcus sat on the porch with his coffee and watched the sun rise over the garden. Miranda was dead. The woman who had tortured his children, starved them, terrorized them, tried to kill them, she was gone forever. And Marcus felt peaceful. Not because she'd suffered, not because she'd faced consequences, but because her death meant nothing to his family anymore. She'd lost her power over them years ago, long before she stopped breathing. Summer arrived with long days and fireflies and Jalen's endless energy. Marcus took both kids on a vacation to California, their first real family trip since everything happened. They visited the beach, went to Disneyland, ate too much ice cream, and laughed more than Marcus could remember laughing in years. One evening, sitting on the beach watching the sunset, Lily turned to him with a serious expression. "Dad, I've been thinking about college." "You're 14, sweetheart. You have time." "I know, but I know what I want to do. I want to study law. I want to become a prosecutor like Sarah Mitchell. I want to put away people who hurt kids." Marcus looked at his daughter, this brave, brilliant young woman who'd survived horrors no child should ever face, and emerged stronger for it. "I think you'd be amazing at that." "Really? Really? You have the mind for it, the passion. And most importantly, you understand what's at stake in a way most lawyers never will. Because of what happened to us. Yes, your experience gives you perspective, empathy, drive. Those things can't be taught in law school." Lily leaned against his shoulder. "Sometimes I think about how different my life would have been if you hadn't come home early that day, if you hadn't seen what she was doing. I try not to think about that. I know, but I think about it sometimes, and it makes me grateful for what we have now, even the bad stuff it led us here, to this life, this family." "You're wise beyond your years, sweetheart." "I had to grow up fast." "You did, and I'm sorry for that. But I'm also so incredibly proud of who you've become." Jalen came running up covered in sand. "Dad, Lily, I found a crab, come look." They spent the next hour examining tide pools. Jalen narrating discoveries with 8-year-old enthusiasm, while Lily pretended to be less interested than she actually was. Marcus watched his children play and felt a peace so profound it almost hurt. This was what mattered. Not money, not success, not reputation. Family, love, being present for the moments that made up a life. The foundation continued its work. On the 6th anniversary of Miranda's conviction, they held a gala to celebrate milestones and raise funds for expansion. 500 guests gathered in a Manhattan ballroom, including survivors, advocates, donors, and politicians who'd championed child protection legislation. Marcus gave the keynote speech. 6 years ago, I discovered that my own children were being abused in my own home by a woman I'd trusted with their lives. I'd been too busy building a business empire to notice they were starving, too focused on my next deal to see the bruises on their arms. He paused, looking out at the audience. I tell you this, not to elicit sympathy, but to make a point. Abuse can happen in any home, behind any door, to any family. Wealth doesn't protect children. Status doesn't protect children. Only vigilance protects children. Only courage. Only speaking up when something feels wrong, even when it's easier to stay silent. He gestured to a screen showing the foundation's statistics. In 6 years, this foundation has helped rescue 312 children from abusive situations. We've trained thousands of social workers, teachers, and domestic employees to recognize signs of abuse. We've funded legal representation for families who couldn't afford to fight back. We've changed laws in 14 states to better protect vulnerable children. He looked at Lily sitting in the front row with Dorothy. But our work isn't done. Every day children suffer in silence because the adults around them choose not to see. Every day abusers hide behind respectability and money and power. Every day someone convinces themselves that it's not their business, not their problem, not their place to interfere. His voice hardened. It is your business. It is your problem. It is absolutely your place. When you see something wrong, say something. When a child seems afraid, ask questions. When your instincts tell you something is off, trust them. He took a breath. I didn't trust my instincts for 18 months. I let myself believe that everything was fine because it was easier than facing the truth. My children paid the price for my cowardice. He looked directly at the audience. Don't make my mistake. Don't wait until it's almost too late. Speak up. Take action. Protect the children who can't protect themselves. That's how we honor survivors. That's how we prevent future victims. That's how we build a world where monsters like Miranda Whitfield can't hide in plain sight. The applause lasted for 3 full minutes. After the gala, Lily found him in a quiet corner. That was a good speech, Dad. Thanks, sweetheart. Did you mean it, about trusting your instincts? Every word. I've been thinking about that. About how you came home early that day. How you just knew something was wrong even though you were on the other side of the world. Something told me to come back. I still don't know what. Lily smiled. I think it was Mom. I think she was looking out for us, sending you a message. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. You know what, I think you might be right. I talk to her sometimes. Tell her about school and my friends and Jalen. I like to think she can hear me. I'm sure she can, sweetheart. I'm sure she's so proud of you. I hope so. Lily paused. I'm proud of you too, Dad. For everything you've done. For the foundation. For being there for us. For becoming the father you always wanted to be. Marcus pulled her into a hug. Thank you, Lily. That means everything to me. Years continued to pass. Lily graduated high school as valedictorian. She went to Columbia for undergrad, then Yale Law School just as she'd planned. At 25, she joined the Manhattan District Attorney's Office as a prosecutor specializing in child abuse cases. Her first major conviction came 6 months after she started a wealthy hedge fund manager who'd been abusing his stepdaughter for years. The case made national news. Lily's closing argument was described by the Times as devastating in its clarity and compassion. I know what it's like to be a child with no voice, she'd told the jury. I know what it's like to suffer in silence while the adults who should protect you look the other way. Don't look the other way. Give this child the justice she deserves. The jury convicted in under 3 hours. Jalen grew into a thoughtful, gentle young man with his mother's eyes and his father's determination. He went to Stanford for engineering, then surprised everyone by coming home to work for the foundation. I want to help, he told Marcus. Not as a lawyer or a therapist, I'm not wired that way. But I can build systems, create databases, make the foundation's work more efficient. You don't have to do this, son. You could have any career you want. I know. But this is what I want. This is where I belong. At 20, Jalen became the foundation's chief technology officer. He built platforms that helped social workers coordinate across jurisdictions, created anonymous reporting systems that couldn't be traced or hacked, and developed training programs that reached tens of thousands of people every year. The child who'd nearly died of starvation at 2 years old was now helping save other children every single day. Dorothy passed away peacefully at 81, surrounded by the family she'd helped save. Marcus sat with her at the end, holding her hand. You gave us everything, Dorothy. We wouldn't be here without you. You gave me a family, Mr. Whitfield. After my own kids grew up and scattered, you gave me purpose. You gave me those babies to love. They love you too. So much. I know. She smiled weakly. Tell them to keep fighting. Keep protecting the little ones. That's all that matters in the end. I will, I promise. Dorothy closed her eyes for the last time. Marcus held her hand until she was gone. At her funeral, 500 people gathered to honor a woman who'd started as a housekeeper and ended as a hero. Survivors from across the country sent flowers and letters. The foundation renamed its Witness Protection Program in her honor. Lily spoke at the service. Dorothy Thompson taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's being afraid and doing the right thing anyway. She was terrified of Miranda, terrified of losing her job, her reputation, her family's security. But she kept records anyway. She testified anyway. She stood up for 2 children she wasn't obligated to protect. Lily's voice cracked. She saved our lives. And then she spent the rest of her life helping save other children's lives. There is no greater legacy than that. Marcus turned 65 on a spring morning filled with sunshine and birdsong. Lily and Jalen came home to celebrate along with their families. Lily had married a civil rights attorney named Michael. They had twin daughters who looked exactly like Rebecca. Jalen was engaged to his college sweetheart, planning a fall wedding. The house was full of laughter and love and chaos, children running through the garden, adults talking over each other, the dog barking at nothing. Marcus sat on the porch and watched it all with tears in his eyes. Lily came to sit beside him. You okay, Dad? Better than okay, just grateful. For what? For all of this. For you. For Jalen. For the life we've built. Lily took his hand. We built it together. We did. But it almost didn't happen, sweetheart. I almost lost you both. I still think about that sometimes. How close we came. I think about it too. But then I look at my daughters, your grandchildren, and I think about how none of this would exist if things had gone differently. They're only here because you came home early that day, because you saw the truth and fought for us. Your mother helped. I really believe that. I do too. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the twins chase Jalen across the lawn. Dad. Yes. I'm proud of who we've become. All of us. We took something terrible and turned it into something meaningful. We helped so many people. We saved so many kids. That's what your mother would have wanted. I know. I feel her sometimes. In the courtroom when I'm fighting for a child who can't fight for themselves. In quiet moments with my daughters, it's like she's still watching over us. She is, sweetheart, I'm sure of it. That night, after the guests had gone and the house was quiet, Marcus went to his bedroom and picked up Rebecca's photo from the nightstand. Her smile was the same as it had been 30 years ago. Beautiful, hopeful, full of love. We made it, Becca, he whispered. Our kids are happy. They're healthy. They're doing good work in the world. You'd be so proud of them. He traced her face with his finger. Thank you for sending me home that day. Thank you for watching over them when I couldn't. Thank you for never giving up on us. He set the photo back down and looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, a child was suffering in silence tonight. Somewhere, a monster was hiding behind a perfect smile. Somewhere, a family was on the edge of destruction. But somewhere else, a social worker was noticing the signs. A housekeeper was documenting what she saw. A prosecutor was building a case. A foundation was answering a call for help. The fight would never be over. There would always be predators, always be victims, always be darkness trying to consume the light. But there would also always be people willing to fight back, to speak up, to protect the innocent. Marcus had spent the second half of his life becoming one of those people. And his children had taken up the cause after him. and their children would continue it after them. Love was stronger than cruelty. Truth was stronger than lies. Hope was stronger than despair. Marcus Whitfield had learned those lessons the hardest way possible, through 18 months of hell, through a courtroom battle, through years of healing and growth. But he'd learned them, and he'd taught them to his children, and they would teach them to theirs. That was Rebecca's real legacy. Not money, not buildings or programs or legislation. Love passed down through generations. The determination to protect the vulnerable. The courage to face the darkness and refuse to look away. Marcus smiled and climbed into bed. Tomorrow there would be more work to do, more children to save, more battles to fight. But tonight his family was safe. His children were happy. His grandchildren were sleeping peacefully in rooms filled with love. Miranda Whitfield had tried to destroy them. She had failed. And Marcus Whitfield's family would shine on for generations to come, a living testament to the truth that monsters do not win. Love wins, always. What moved you most about this family's journey? Comment your city below, and let us know how far their story has traveled. If you know a child suffering in silence, be their voice. One person believing them can change everything. Subscribe for more stories of courage, survival, and families who refuse to let darkness win. Hope is real, healing is possible, and love always finds its way home.